Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Truthcast TV. How bad are things getting? Well, when you shut down the most powerful economy in the history of the world, things can get pretty fucking bad. Excuse my language. When you screw millions and millions of people out of their jobs and their livelihoods, when you screw millions and millions of small businesses out of their livelihoods, then you end up with this right here.
The toll on American families growing tonight. Another 5.2 million Americans out of work, filing unemployment claims last week. 22 million in just the last month. Tonight, here are the food lines and that question we've been asking.
22 million in the last month. Usually, there's only 250,000 people a year to 300,000. Since Trump took office, it's been lower than that. A year that file for unemployment. I have filed for unemployment about 5 different times, and I've got to draw at 3. And with just a couple 100,000 people filing for unemployment throughout the whole year, it still took me 5 to 8 weeks before I got my first paycheck. How long do you think it's going to take with 22 million people out of work in 30 fucking days? How long do you think it's going to take for these people to get their paychecks? It could take 3, 4, 5 months, some 6. I mean, this is getting really, really bad. Let's continue.
For days now, can the food that some farmers have been forced to throw out, to destroy, can it be delivered to families in need? Here's ABC's Steve Osunsami.
Well, it damn sure should.
The bread lines keep getting longer tonight. Thousands who need a helping hand are lined up for food in Texas, Pennsylvania, and Louisiana. Monica Bell and Jennifer Wright, who came to this food bank in Memphis, say that their $1,200 stimulus checks have already been spent on the rent.
It's really hard, and I barely can take it. I can't take it no more. I can't sleep at nighttime and nothing.
Charlie Chadwick, who lives with his girlfriend in suburban Phoenix, says that by the time his stimulus check hit, his bank account was already overdrawn.
For me, it was already spent because I was in the negatives because of bills, because of my power bill and my car insurance bill.
The government says that 80 million Americans were paid, but we're learning that some of those payments were sent to the wrong accounts because of wrong information.
The account that they had deposited to was one number off from my account.
The website stated that the check was deposited into my bank account. Well, that particular bank account is closed and I haven't used it in years.
People are angry at what happened at USAA, the bank used by many military service members and veterans. They were keeping stimulus money from soldiers and using it to pay off existing debts. After hearing the outrage, the bank changed its mind, saying that they will now pause the collection of a negative account balance so that members will have access to their stimulus funds. Small business owners applying for loans today are learning that the government money ran out last night. Marcos Rivera in Chicago says the clock is ticking and he might not have a restaurant to save.
If I don't get those funds, I don't know. We keep on trying to push through and see how long we can make it.
The disruption to the way Americans...
Do you see how bad this is getting? This is way worse than the virus will ever be. Do you fucking get that? I mean, people's got to wake up here. Taking people's livelihoods, taking people's businesses that they've spent the past 10, 20, 30 years building, and shutting it down, and causing them to pretty much have to close their businesses or to take out more loans just so they can pay their people. It's just not right. Every day we step out that fucking door, we take a chance on dying. It's just part of being a human being and living on this earth. When you take the world's greatest economy, and not just the world's best economy, but the world's best economy in history, and you shut it completely down for 30 plus days, what the fuck do you think's going to happen? The backlash from this is going to be way worse than any coronavirus. I can only imagine how many people are on the brink of committing suicide right now, because they've been locked up in their house for the past 30 days. Their bills are piling up. They don't have a fucking job, and their unemployment checks are months and months away. And so are their stimulus checks probably, because I haven't got mine either. And I know a few people that's gotten theirs. Could you imagine the toll this is taking on the American people? The toll this is taking on the American people is way worse than the coronavirus. Let's continue.
Put food on the table is massive. And at one of the largest pork processing plants in the country, an outbreak of the coronavirus has shut it down. 598 essential workers at the South Dakota plant are sick, and the CDC was there today.
Steve Osunsami back with us tonight, live from Atlanta. And Steve, we remember those images you reported on earlier in the week, farmers forced to throw away food, dumping milk. We were stunned when we saw these images. We know that they have to do that given the circumstances, but of course everyone watching this at home wanted to know, is there a way to get some of that food to the families in need? The White House has been pressed on this. What have you learned?
Well, we've heard from a number of viewers who are, of course, moved by that story of the Florida tomato farmer who donated more than 1 million pounds of his ripe tomatoes to food banks, food that would have otherwise...
And why aren't all of them doing that, is my question. Because they can, if they want to.
Gone to waste. The Trump administration tonight is saying that they're working on this. They have a plan to buy food from farmers and ship it to food banks. But our farmer in Florida says that none of this will happen soon enough for him. His crops are coming in now. David?
Yeah, we got to get this moving.
So, you know, that's just, I just wanted to touch a little bit on how bad this is really getting. I just felt that I needed to touch on this. And let my subscribers, behind me is very and let my subscribers see how bad this is really getting, which I'm sure all of my subscribers, if you're subscribed to this channel, you already know how bad it's getting. So let's move on. I just wanted to touch on how many people a year die from car fatalities. And in 2019, there were more than 40,000 people who died from just car crashes. There's only been 34,000 deaths from the coronavirus. Okay, let's take a look right here. 2019-2020 flu season, 39 million to 56 million people got the flu. 410,000 to 740,000 people had to be hospitalized. 18 million to 26 million flu medical visits to the hospital. And they wasn't overwhelmed then. So why are they so overwhelmed now? 24 to 62,000 flu deaths last year. Now that's a big gap. I think they can do a little bit better on the numbers in that case, since they're doing such a good job with the numbers on the coronavirus deaths. But it's more like 70 to 80,000, if not. I mean, you got to imagine the people that are homeless, the people that are in really bad positions that cannot go to the hospital or the ER or the doctor, that don't have the money or the the health insurance to do so, that died in their house with influenza. So we're probably talking 100 to 200,000 people just died from the flu last year. And nobody batted an eye. There was no hysteria created by the media. There was no panic. And life went on like it does as usual. Even though 62,000 people died last year from the flu. Right? Well, let's move on. The coronavirus in the United States has caused 34,562 deaths, even though they've inflated that number by about probably 25,000. Because, and you can do your research and you can see several doctors talking about it, where they got emails that if somebody died from whatever it was, pneumonia, influenza, bronchitis, whatever, as long as they had COVID in their system, that's what they was going to write down on the death certificate, that they died from COVID-19. Okay? So these numbers right here are highly inflated. Highly inflated. It's more like probably about 10,000. And influenza's probably already killed about 20 or 30. Okay? But let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Over 38,000 people were killed in 2019 just by getting shot. 38,000 people. I just wanted to put that out there. From suicides, 48,344 Americans last year died from suicides. And there were 1.4 million Americans that attempted suicide. So if they would have actually been successful, the death rate for suicides would be in the million, would be almost into the millions. It would be 1.4 million. Okay? Do you see what's happening? This is a new world order, a one world government movement, and this is a very satanic agenda that is unfolding right in front of our faces. They want to see how many people they can control, and they want to see how people react to being told what to do, when to do it, where to do it, and how to do it. And from what I've seen so far, there's a lot of sheep willing to herd up, get in a single file line, and lead us right to the slaughterhouse. I hope everybody has a damn good night. I hope everybody stays safe, stay vigilant, and remember, stay woke, and until next time.